In this video, we're going to talk about replacing a servo in the full motion talking skull. The first thing you're going to need is a new servo, a set of small screwdrivers, side cutters, and a 332 Allen key. This is for replacing certain servos. In this video, we're going to place the I servo in this skull. First thing you're going to do is plug in your Servo DMX. And you're going to hit down, set, and you're going to get one blue blink. And then you're going to hit down, and you're going to get two blue blinks, and you're going to hit set. Then you're going to hit down 3 times till you get 3 green blinks, and this is the replace servo option. In this first section, the selector is to select what servo you want to replace, and that's 1 through 5. And the I servo is number 2. You set the trim pot to number 2 and you hit the down button. The next is the position you want the servo to be in. 1 is far left, 2 is center, and 3 is far right. We want it to be in the center, so you set it to number 2. And at this moment, you're going to unplug the old servo and plug in your new servo, and that will automatically go to 0. Once it's at 0, unplug all the servos, because at this point we want to replace the servo. So the first thing you're going to do is turn the skull around. There's 2 screws inside that hold the back of the skull in place. You're going to take a small Phillips screwdriver and remove these 2 screws. When the screws are removed, you just pull off the back of the skull, pull the wires through, and put the skull aside. Next, we're going to take out the 2 plate mounting screws that mount the plate to the front of the skull. They're also Phillips head screwdrivers. Remove those 2 screws. And open the jaw a little bit and pull out the plate. It just slides right out. Now that you have the skull off, you're ready to replace the servo. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find the number 2 servo wire, and it's marked with the number 2. Now you're going to have to take the side snips and you're going to cut the zip ties off. You have to be very careful not to cut the servo wires. So you cut these all the way up. Even in the front here, there's one in the front you have to remove as well. Once they're removed, you'll unplug the number 2 servo wire and fish it through the hold downs. And then there's one at the top. You fish it through there. And there's a hole through the plate. And you fish it through the bottom of the plate. Once that's done, you're going to now remove the servo horn. You're going to use a small Phillips screwdriver again, and then screw the servo horn. Once it's unscrewed, you can just pop off the servo horn. You just pop it off and move it aside. And then you're going to remove the 4 servo mounting screws, and they're again small Phillips 440 by 1/4 inch screws. You take all 4 of those screws out. Once the screws are out, you'll be able to push up from the bottom the servo and then just pull it out. And that's it. You take it out, put it aside, grab your new servo, slide the wire through, and then you're going to want to put the servo in on an angle, because the servo wire has a little nubbin on it. You're going to put it in on an angle, and then you're going to push it down and in. It's tight, but it goes in pretty easy. And there it is, the servo's in. You're going to take your 4 mounting screws and put them back in. Tighten the servo down. Do not over tighten the screws. There's no need to have them too tight. Once the screws are down and tight, you're going to want to put the servo horn back on. In this case, you want to make sure that the eyes are pointing as straight as they possibly can be for the servo horn to slide back on. They don't have to be 100% straight, they just have to be in a position that the servo horn will slide onto the spline. Once it's in place, replace the servo horn tightening screw. Snug that down, you don't have to over tighten it as well. Now that that's in place, you'll take the servo lead, pass it through the hole in the bottom of the skull plate, and then through the cable tray at the top where the tilt servos are. You want to make sure that it's underneath the eye servo, the eye leads. Push it through the top one, and then at the back there's another cable tray. Push it through there. Make sure it's straight and neat and tidy. Plug it into the number 2. You want to line up the wires. You have yellow and white will go together, and black will go together. Push it in until it pushes in and stops. Now it's in, you want to get some small cable ties, and you want to neatly tie up the servo wires so you have a nice neat package. One goes just above all the connectors, another one just below the cable tray. Then another one just before the cable tray at the back of the servos, and you want to slide it underneath all the wires and make sure you get them all nice and tight. And then another one just ahead of the cable tray, and this one's going to include the eye wires as well. And snug that down, and then just cut off the excess with your snips. You want to make sure the wires are neat. I'm putting another one in to hold down the eye wires. And then you cut off all your excess leads. And it's done. You've replaced the eye servo on a full motion talking skull. You want to make sure that your eye wires are inside the plate, and then you want to line up the side troughs to slide into the plate. It slides right in, and once it touches the standoffs on the side, you'll put back in the plate to front skull mounting screws. And you'll snug those down. Then you'll take the back of your skull, slide the wires through the hole at the bottom of the back of the skull. Then you'll line up the two slots in the back of the skull with the plate. And it'll slide right on and it'll clip into place. And then you take your two back mounting screws, slide them back in, and tighten them down. And that's it. You'll take your wires, your servo leads, they're labeled 1 to 5, and you're going to plug them back into your Servo DMX, and you've now replaced the eye servo in a full motion talking skull.